Hello, dear listeners, and welcome to today's TSF1 Greece podcast with Alex and Panos. Good evening, Panos.
Good evening, Alex.
So, we had a really interesting race this weekend with the Austrian Grand Prix. We had the first sprint shootout / race of the year. I mean, we no longer know how they are going to call it every weekend, so let's just go with sprint. So, as per usual, Panos will do the introduction with the free practice and the quali sessions, as well as cover the sprint part, and then I will jump into the main race. So, Panos.
Thank you very much, Alex. So, Friday morning we have free practice 1, the only practice session of the weekend. So we have Max Verstappen in first place, Carlos Sainz second, and Charles Leclerc in third. We saw Ferrari picking up the pace, while Mercedes is in fourth with Lewis Hamilton, showing us that maybe the upgrades might have done something to the cars. We move on to qualifying for the Sunday race. So we have Max Verstappen in pole position, we have Charles Leclerc in second place, Carlos Sainz in third, Lando Norris in fourth, Lewis Hamilton in fifth, Lance Stroll in sixth place, right in front of Fernando Alonso in seventh, Nico Hülkenberg in eighth, Pierre Gasly in ninth, and Alex Albon in 10th. Out of Q3 we have George Russell in 11th place, once again out of Q3, 12th Esteban Ocon, 13th Oscar Piastri, 14th Valtteri Bottas, 15th Sergio Perez, another disappointing qualifying session for him. And our last 5 drivers are in 16th Yuki Tsunoda, 17th Zhou Guanyu, 18th Logan Sargent, 19th Kevin Magnussen, and last but not least, Nick De Vries. So we move on with our sprint shootout, sprint qualifying for the sprint. Out of Q2, we have Logan Sargent in 20th, Valtteri Bottas in 19th, Lewis Hamilton in 18th, Oscar Piastri in 17th, Zhou Guanyu is 16th. We move on to the drivers who were out of Q3. We have in 11th Alex Albon, 12th Pierre Gasly, 13th Yuki Tsunoda, 14th Nick De Vries, 15th George Russell. Second disappointing qualifying session for Russell. And our top 10 are Max Verstappen in first place, once again, Sergio Perez in second, he picked up the pace, he woke up, Lando Norris in third, Nico Hülkenberg in fourth, Carlos Sainz in fifth, sixth Charles Leclerc, seventh Fernando Alonso, eighth Lance Stroll, ninth Esteban Ocon, and 10th Kevin Magnussen. So we start with a sprint shootout. And we had a very interesting one, Alex. I think you would agree on that.
Yes, it was interesting to say the least.
So we have our top 3 of the sprint race. In first place we have Max Verstappen gaining 8 points. Second, Sergio Perez, 21 seconds behind him in 24 laps.
I guess it happens.
Exactly. And in third we had a Ferrari of Carlos Sainz with 6 points. So we move on with the starting grid for the actual race. We had only Magnussen and De Vries required to start from the pit lane after their car were modified while under parc fermé conditions. That happens.
Again, things that may happen or not.
Exactly. Well, so I think we can move on with the race, Alex.
So,
an interesting race. with many
Yes.
track limit warnings.
It was
penalties.
I think, aside from the hashtag that we used, Austrian GP, we can now proudly say that we can use track limits GP. So, starting with a very unfortunate accident that we had at Spa, the Grand Prix started with a moment of silence for Dylan van 't Hoff, the Dutch racing driver who died at Spa-Francorchamps after there was a really strong downpour which caused him to crash, and the visibility was so poor that one of the race cars that followed unfortunately didn't see him, and well, the accident unfortunately meant that he passed away. Fernando Alonso, Valtteri Bottas and Kevin Magnussen started from the pit lane as far as the race goes. Fernando Alonso, Valtteri Bottas and Kevin Magnussen, who Magnussen was the one starting from the pit lane, were the only driver on the hard tyres. The top three, Verstappen, Leclerc and Sainz, had a clean start, but the debris in turn 1 called out the safety car. So, we had the restart on lap 3, where Verstappen held his lead and was being followed by the two Ferraris. Alonso, on 6th place, was the significant gainer especially on this lap. So, the gap between Verstappen and the trailing pack grew, with the leader being out of DRS signs immediately by having a distance of the pack that followed him of approximately 1.7 seconds, with the Ferrari duo seeming to be dueling more amongst themselves. So, Ferrari discussed Sainz's pace with him, suggesting he was faster than Leclerc, and Perez has climbed after 10 laps from position 15th to P11. Norris was asked to report Hamilton track limits violations on lap 11, with Hamilton later receiving a black and white flag. Here's where the fun begins with the whole track limit things. And I say begins because at the end I will read you the final results, and they have nothing to do with how the cars cross the finish line. So, moving on, Perez has moved into 9th place after 3 laps, with Hülkenberg retiring on lap 15 due to a smoking car, causing a virtual safety car and a flurry, of course, of pit stops. So, after that, we have a Verstappen that's leading 15 seconds ahead by lap 20, with Leclerc and Sainz following, while Hamilton receives a track limits penalty, the first one. On lap 22, Sainz regains 3rd position, posting the fastest lap, while as we continue the race, Verstappen pitted and returned on fresh hearts on lap 25. Red Bull didn't use the virtual safety car, but that didn't really seem to bother their pace or their plan. No surprise there, I guess. So, Leclerc and Sainz became the new 1-2 for Ferrari. By lap 30, Leclerc was leading by 3.3 seconds over Verstappen, but the gap was closing. I mean, all the good things have to come to an end, right? Norris also moved past Hamilton at this point. By lap 35, Verstappen had overtaken Leclerc and began to pull away. As I said, all the good things don't last for very long. I mean, 5 laps ago they had a 3.3 seconds gap, and on lap 35 he just literally cruises past. So, 5 laps down the line, now being on lap 40, Verstappen was leading by 7 seconds, and Perez was moving fast up through the field. Norris was pitting for the second time on lap 42, while Verstappen and Perez remain out. By lap 50, Verstappen pits and emerges 5 seconds ahead of Perez, who had yet to stop, while at the same point Leclerc was third, 12 seconds behind Sergio Perez. On lap 58, Perez passes Norris and begins to pressure Sainz for 3rd place. By lap 60, Verstappen is leading by
21 seconds.
It's funny. 21 seconds. I mean, that's literally an eternity. And finally, on lap 65, Stroll passes Albon, moving into the points. So, that's pretty much how the race ended. We have 3 key takeaways from this weekend's race. So Panos will do me the favor and go through the one that's for Max Verstappen, and I will later comment on Leclerc's and Perez's, because I still need to find out the final grid, like how things ended when the race ended. Because
exactly, I think it was 2-3 hours after the race, the checkered flag dropped.
I mean, don't you love Formula 1 nowadays? I mean, that's a checkered flag. No, the race is not over. Wait, we have got the paperwork to do.
I think we have to bring back Michael Massey.
Yeah.
We miss him a lot.
Yes.
Probably not.
It was like, that's it, deal with it. I don't care.
Probably
it is what it is. Moving on.
No, Michael, no.
So, the final race classification. Okay, so the final one.
This is it.
I mean, it's funny that Verstappen on the last lap has got literally such a gap that he just stops, he pits for softs just to go out and take the point for the fastest lap. So we have, and we say Verstappen first place, followed by Leclerc and Perez. Then we have Sainz and Norris, Alonso, Hamilton, Russell, Gasly and Stroll in the first 10 places. Then 11 through 19 we have got Albon, Ocon, Sargent, Zhou, De Vries, Bottas, Piastri, Tsunoda and Magnussen, and Hülkenberg was the only car that had a DNF over the weekend. Now it's some maybe kind of interesting data regarding tires. The longest stint goes to Kevin Magnussen with the Haas, who ran on hards and managed to do 36 laps, followed by Nick De Vries in AlphaTauri with 33 laps with the medium tire. And of course, the fastest lap has to go to Max Verstappen with the softs with an amazing 1 minute 7 seconds .012. So, Pano, you can tell us about Max Verstappen, and then I will comment on Leclerc and Perez.
So we have Max Verstappen, who delivered an audacious and gutsy performance in his 172nd Grand Prix race. Describing his win, the first lap was crucial for me to remain in the lead. Okay, which allowed us to dictate our own race once again. The strategy of not pitting under the virtual safety car worked out perfectly, and our stints were executed well. It was a race I thoroughly enjoyed. He's a Dutchman, he was in Austria, so his win further solidifies his 2023 F1 title race lead, now standing at 229 points, a significant 81 points ahead of his Red Bull teammate Sergio Perez. However, despite being previously hailed as the 2023 World Championship following his victory in Canada, Verstappen remains grounded. He stated, "I don't like to preoccupy myself with thoughts of the title yet. I am simply enjoying driving this car and working with the team." He acknowledged the unpredictability of sprint weekends, stating, "A lot of things can go wrong, but fortunately many things went right this time. I'm thrilled with this weekend and I'm looking forward to focusing on Silverstone, which is this weekend." Overall,
says Max. I mean,
Max.
It's funny, a lot of things can go wrong. No, listen to me, man. When you drive for Red Bull and you are Max Verstappen, whatever may go wrong, it's fine. You have got 71 laps to make everything great again.
Exactly. Overall, Verstappen dominated the race, performing impeccably, not only on Sunday, but throughout the weekend. It was clear that the real contest was for the second spot behind Verstappen, providing plenty of entertainment.
Great. So, moving on to Leclerc. Leclerc was the previous year's winner, secured the second place finish in this year's race. Starting from P2, he attempted to overtake Verstappen early in the race, but was unsuccessful. Leclerc then focused on maintaining his position, smart choice, and conserving his tires on track with higher than expected tire degradation. Again, that's new. Aside from Verstappen, Perez also put up a strong performance, moving from 15th to the third podium position. I mean, we have to give it to him. We made a bit of fun on the last race of him, but as the saying goes, he took that personally. His duel with Sainz for the third place was one of the race highlights. The fight was fair and fierce until Sainz Ferrari, which lacked power, I mean it's a Fiat after all, had to give way to Perez's formidable Red Bull. I mean, it's true, it gives you wings. He literally flew past. The performance marked a successful... literally flew away. The performance marked a successful day for Ferrari nevertheless, which stands as the second ranking team as the midpoint of the season approaches. Really? I haven't paid, we haven't commented in the meantime on the Constructor Championship. We will see that on the last race as we are at the half point of the season, because I think then it makes also sense. So, for Leclerc, this podium finish was a welcome return after Baku and represented only his second top 3 finish of the season. Yeah, that one hurts. He expressed, "We maximized our capabilities on Friday and during the race I felt off pace on Saturday, but it's good to be back on the podium." Leclerc praised the team's efforts in bringing earlier upgrades to the car, which improved his performance in certain conditions. However, he acknowledged the need for more work given the pace demonstrated by Verstappen and Perez. Regarding leading the race when Verstappen went in for a pit stop, Leclerc noted the difficulty in maintaining position due to struggles in dirty air. "I aim to secure the track position, even though it would be challenging to keep Max behind given his race pace. My attempt wasn't enough, but it feels good to be back on the podium after a series of more challenging races," he concluded. As it goes for Perez, who finished the race in third place, spoke of the challenging conditions he faced over the weekend. He admitted to feeling physically weak due to an illness that started on Thursday, with high fever and limited rest. However, he praised his team's strategic effort that led him to a successful recovery and excellent race pace. Engaging in a tough but fair race with Carlos Sainz, Perez was pleased with his performance. After experiencing a difficult period, he expressed hope for maintaining consistency moving forward. Meanwhile, Sainz, who appeared to demonstrate a faster pace than his Ferrari teammate, requested to overtake Leclerc. However, Ferrari did not grant this request. Instead, they opted for a double-stacked pit stop during a virtual safety car period, which we have to note that it was quite slow. It was 4.5 on Sainz and 4.6, I think it was for Leclerc. Just don't do it. It was done on purpose.
Ferrari things.
Yeah.
Just Ferrari things.
This decision resulted in a delay due to a mishap during Leclerc's stop, with Sainz waiting, losing a potential podium finish and settling for fourth place. Lando Norris was named driver of the day, earning a commendable fifth place after a tough battle with Lewis Hamilton. I mean, we have to give him, his game was strong. He was completely
after all the warnings, regarding the track limits, Lando Norris finished fourth and Carlos Sainz in sixth.
Exactly.
If I remember correctly.
Yes, I think so. So, Norris' performance suggested that McLaren's latest updates significantly improved the race pace. I mean, wouldn't it be amazing if we saw McLaren battling with Mercedes again? Fernando Alonso, the only top 10 driver to start the race on hard tires, finished on 6th place after a hard-fought race. He successfully defended his position from Hamilton, who fell from 5th on the starting grid to 7th. Meanwhile, Russell's performance in the other Mercedes was inconspicuous, finishing in 8th place. Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff attempted to motivate a dispirited Hamilton over the radio, acknowledging the car's poor performance and encouraging him to keep pushing. Pierre Gasly, as a last comment, remained largely unnoticed throughout the race, managed to avoid any trouble and secured a 9th place finish ahead of Lance Stroll in the other Aston Martin. Stroll, who started in P6, ended the race in 10th place, even though his car had the potential to finish in 6th place. I think that was pretty much it for this weekend. It was a pretty interesting race, but we really look forward to Silverstone. So, Panos, any last comments?
As we said, I think
we're fine.
It was the track limit race. I think they should continue doing that and forcing the teams to make the cars better. Forcing Red Bull maybe to change something, maybe. Hopefully.
Just a suggestion here. So, I think we should also mention for everyone following WEC that we also have the 6 hours of Monza this weekend. So we have got plenty of motorsport content for you coming next week. So we will have the podcast for the WEC race and for the Formula 1. I think we will do first Formula 1 and then follow with the WEC one. Unless WEC is more interesting than Silverstone. We will see. So, let's see. Who has got the most interesting race? Will it be in Monza or will it be at Silverstone? We will have to let ourselves find out. So, thank you very much for listening to us today. We look forward to seeing you next week. Till then, have a great evening or day, depending on what time you're listening to us. And we will see you soon. Bye.